One of the problems with planning is when we plan, we're planning for what we know right now. But actually what we need to be thinking about is a plan for what might happen and what we don't know. G'day, I'm Debra Caldow. Welcome to the Red Giraffe Solutions Expanding Worlds podcast, where we aim to support you as you help your young person with additional needs plan for their future, a future where they're safe, secure, and live a rewarding and fulfilling life. From around the world, I share stories and I share solutions from people making this possible right now. I'm a parent of a young person with additional needs, so I understand the challenges. Many of the people I've interviewed on this podcast have already helped me design a better future for my daughter, and I hope that they might help you as well to imagine what's possible for your young person. This podcast is made possible by Red Giraffe Solutions, which is a project I'm proud to be part of, supporting families to build a better future for their children. We now have available at Red Giraffe Solutions an online course called Independent Cooking Made Easy. This is a new and unique approach we developed when we realised traditional cooking techniques and recipes were never going to enable our daughter to cook without some support or supervision. It's a safe, simple system that uses no more than 5 ingredients, has no weighing, cutting or chopping, and no lifting of heavy dishes. Each of the 16 recipes in the course includes a step-by-step video of our daughter making the meal, plus a visual recipe card. We developed this for our daughter to solve her challenges with cooking, and every recipe in the course she can and does genuinely cook for herself. You can find a link to the course in this episode's show notes. Raising and supporting a child with additional needs requires thoughtful, forward-looking planning. We need to plan for education, health issues, employment possibilities, as well as look at longer-term planning for housing and care options, as well as thinking about financial issues around things like guardianships and trusts. These are some heavy, complex considerations, but creating a plan helps families feel more secure and gives them a roadmap to work from. But it's important to remember the plan is not the destination, it's a tool, and like any good tool, it needs to be flexible. Because often in the process of creating a vision for the future, many families and professionals can fall into a common trap, assuming that planning must be fixed and followed at all costs. But in reality, when it comes to planning for our children, the most effective plans are dynamic, designed to evolve with them, not constrain them. One of the problems with planning is when we plan, we're planning for what we know right now. But actually what we need to be thinking about is a plan for what might happen and what we don't know, because things will change. Many people, myself included, crave structure because it offers a sense of security and control. However, this control is an illusion in today's world because new technologies are constantly emerging and societal values are always changing, thankfully mostly in the right direction. Circumstances might and will change, so plans need to be dynamic. True success lies not in rigid blueprints, but in flexible, adaptable and dynamic plans. Planning under the illusion of total control ignores one of the most fundamental rules of life. Uncertainty is inevitable. Some of the best opportunities in life arise unexpectedly. If your plan is too rigid, you risk missing out on those openings because you're too focused on sticking to a predetermined path. A flexible plan allows you to seize opportunities as they arise, without feeling like you're abandoning your end goals. We all know that our skills, our motivations and our priorities shift over time. A goal that felt meaningful 6 months ago might no longer interest us, or no longer align with the circumstances we find ourselves in. This doesn't mean the original plan was wrong, just that it's now out of sync with where we are today. For many of us, when we get a diagnosis for our children, it offers that feeling of certainty. But we also recognise that it's never as simple as that. It's not a crystal ball for the future. Our children often develop in unexpected and remarkable ways. Conversely, for some children, health conditions may become more complex. For others, they may stabilise or even improve. Likewise, a family's financial situation, living arrangements or support networks may shift. Policies, benefits and educational resources evolve. Programs available today might be gone tomorrow, but new opportunities might emerge. If plans are made with fixed assumptions, they unintentionally limit a child's potential, closing off options based on today's expectations. A rigid plan assumes the future will look like the present, which it rarely ever does. Life circumstances change. A plan that doesn't adapt with our family's reality becomes a source of friction rather than a support. So what should adaptive planning look like? Well, it needs to be a continuous process of reassessment, learning and adjustment. It's more about navigating a journey than following a map. When it comes to planning, it's essential to include what-if scenarios. Best case, worst case, most likely. Any plan should have a flexible timeline with short-term goals, 1 to 2 years, small practical things like learning to cook a simple meal or starting to travel independently. Medium-term goals, which would be 3 to 5 years, building certain skills and maybe exploring work experience. And then, of course, long-term goals, 5 years plus. That's more about a vision for adulthood, independent living, supported employment, social networks. So instead of creating one big plan and sticking to it, it's better to break it into phases with regular review points. That's one of the reasons we created a roadmap with various stops along the 4 lines that we think about when we help our daughter plan her future. As she moves through each stop on each line, we're always evaluating what's working and what needs to change. By doing that, we're always ready to act on new information or when she develops new skills. New options often become available, ones that we've never even imagined. Sometimes it's easy to forget how quickly things can change. The internet only really became widely used less than 30 years ago, although it's difficult now to imagine a world without it, although many of us might argue that that wouldn't be such a bad thing. Dynamic planning means creating a living plan, one that is structured enough to offer direction, but open enough to grow and adapt as needed. We need to anticipate possible changes or barriers, and then create those if-then scenarios. A dynamic plan doesn't assume that every detail is knowable in advance. Instead, it embraces reviewing, reflecting, and revising. Dynamic planning is about focusing on the whole person, their strengths, preferences, dreams, and potential. It should evolve as they do with their emerging interests and abilities, not just based on an assessment or a label. This assess loop is as simple as revisiting your child's plan and asking what's working well, what's changed in our child's needs or interests, and are we missing opportunities? Reviewing the plan prevents it from becoming irrelevant. It's also a good way to keep check on whether everyone, families, therapists, educators, are all aligned and heading in the same direction. It's also important to have backup plans within your planning. Planning for contingencies doesn't mean expecting the worst. It means creating confidence that you can respond to change without panicking. Not all surprises are negative. Your child may develop a passion or a talent that wasn't obvious earlier. New technologies or therapies may open up options. A dynamic plan makes space for this and allows for useful deviations from the original plan. It also leaves room to respond quickly to challenges, like medical changes or family disruptions, without having to scrap everything and start from scratch. It's important as well to create a support network and involve professionals, therapists, teachers, caseworkers in your planning. But it's also important to remember that you know your child best. Stay informed but trust your instincts. If someone tells you this is the only option, don't be afraid to ask what else might be possible. Planning for a child with additional needs is emotional. It involves facing uncertainties that many other families don't have to think about. It's tempting to create a rigid plan in the name of control and safety. But the most empowering plans are those that can grow alongside our children. They leave room for change, discovery, and joy. Dynamic planning doesn't mean giving up control. It means choosing responsiveness over rigidity. It means choosing trust over fear. Your child's future isn't fixed. It's a story unfolding in real time. And your plan, it should be dynamic enough to respond to changes in their life chapters. So we need to plan for today in mind, but leave space for whatever might happen tomorrow. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to listen, and I hope that the stories and solutions shared on here help you as you support your young person to create their future. If you know anyone who would find the ideas useful, please share the podcast with them. To support the podcast, please consider finding out more about the Independent Cooking Made Easy online course. It's a safe, simple system that works. There are links to the course in the show notes. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn at Debra Caldow. I'd love to have a conversation with you on any of the topics we all care about. Bye for now.